Hello, I'm Emma, original genius at the creative agency Genius. I'm going to spend just 15 minutes today talking to you because I know how hard it is to focus at digital events, so I've kept this super short and sweet. We're going to cover what creativity is, why you should care about it, as in how it's going to make you money, where it could possibly be going wrong at the moment, how you can bring more creativity into your marketing teams, and finally have a look at a few examples that should hopefully really inspire you to go and do things differently. So, why creativity and cold hard cash? I believe passionately that creativity and commerciality are natural bedfellows. They go really well together and they help each other out. Now, I don't expect you to just take my word for it because that would be silly. You don't know me from Adam. So, let's take a look at some people that really know what they're talking about. What the hell do we mean by creativity anyway? So, Harvard Business Review define creativity as divergent thinking, the ability to come up with really alternative solutions to a problem. And when applied to advertising, that means obviously solving marketing problems in a way that really hasn't been thought of as yet. So, why bother? Well, same reason that most businesses do anything. Creativity makes money. And you don't have to just take my word for that. I wonder, ask yourself, how much did you improve your results on your last campaign when you were doing optimizations, when you were tweaking tactics, when you were applying the latest growth hack? Imagine if you could have doubled the effectiveness of that campaign. Not 5%, 10%, 20%. Imagine if you could have doubled it. Sticking with Harvard Business Review, because I like it, they cite a study where €1 spent on a creative campaign was double the effectiveness when it came to sales than €1 spent on a non-creative campaign. Pretty good, huh? More numbers, because I know you love your numbers because you're marketers. 3.5. So there's a chap called James Herman who did some work on advertising effectiveness, quite a lot of work on advertising effectiveness, pretty much wrote the book on it. In fact, actually did write the book on it technically. He found that the Cannes Advertiser of the Year from 1999 to 2015, so he studied it every year for that period. So Cannes Advertiser of the Year, that brand outperformed the S&P 500 by a factor of 3.5. That's massive. Going on to a bit of work by Nielsen, I'm sure you've heard of them. They broke down the percentage of sales contribution by advertising element. You've got things like context in there at 2%, recency in there at 5%, reach 22%, targeting 9%, creative came in at a whopping 47%, and that's across all media channels and types. Take that into digital world. Nielsen again report that creative accounts for 56% of sales effectiveness in digital advertising campaigns. Turning to the godfathers of the internet, or however you want to refer to them, Google. So you'd imagine that the guys that invented AdWords and all the bells and whistles that come with that might be sort of quite into all that kind of campaign optimization and attributing value there. Not so. They give 30% attribution to the media and 70% to creative. 70%. Finally, going back to the wonderful James Herman and his work. So he looked at creatively awarded campaigns and non-creatively awarded campaigns over a period, 96 to 2008. And creatively awarded campaigns were 12 times as efficient as non-awarded ones. 12 times as efficient. Imagine if you could make your campaigns 12 times more efficient. How incredible would that be? But we got a problem. When Mr. Herman looked at the same period for 2008 to 2018, so he's looking at the same thing, creatively awarded campaigns versus not, and their effectiveness, it falls. Only, I mean, like, still 4 times more effective than a non-creatively awarded campaign, which is it's pretty good. But why the drop? What's going wrong with our creative that means that it's not having the impact it used to? It's been attributed to short-termism. So because we only run campaigns for 6 weeks at a time, we're constantly chopping and changing, focused on activation and pumping stuff out for demand gen and chopping and changing the whole time. We actually reduce the ability of our creative to be effective. Now, that's a bit of a problem because, as we've seen, even at very conservative estimates, even if we go for the lowest of those numbers, creative is still responsible for half the effectiveness of our campaign. And if we're cutting that off at the knees by only running things for a very short-term period, we are effectively flushing half our potential results down the toilet, because it doesn't matter how brilliant your creative execution is. If you only chuck it out for a couple of weeks and then bin it, you're going to lose most of the effectiveness of that campaign, because the effectiveness of creative it's not a kind of constant line. The effectiveness improves over time. So it starts out quite slow and then it goes up and up and up and up and up and up over time. So if you're to run a campaign that's only 6 weeks long, you're never going to realize the benefit. There's another reason for looking at our approach to creative, and it's whether this resembles you at work. Are you constantly scrabble the whole time trying to get stuff done? It's probably because you've loaded yourself with a shed load of work, tweaking stuff, optimizing stuff, chopping and changing, hoping to get an extra 0.5% here, there, and everywhere, when in fact the solution is far simpler. You can take things a little slower, commit to a long-term creative campaign, and see those results increase without all that scrabble hamster work. So that's one thing I really need you guys to take away. In order for creative to work, you have to start thinking in months, not weeks. And ideally, if you can, put the work in to get a big enough creative campaign idea that you can run it for years. And now that's not like I have to run the same ad, every day for 3 years. That's not what I mean. We're talking about a big enough idea that you can run multiple ads from the same idea over a course of years. So hopefully I've done a reasonable job of convincing you why you need to sit up and pay attention to creative, because it's going to make you more money more easily. Well, who wouldn't want that? I want to move now from the why you need to care to the how, because one of the other things that I really passionately believe is that creatives, we're not born, we're made. Over time, over all the influences that come into us, all the opportunities that we're given, over time, we develop these skills until it looks natural and effortless, and like we must have somehow been born in a different universe to everybody who hasn't had the same experiences and, isn't creative. But I genuinely think that everybody, no matter, even if you're sat there going, I haven't got a creative bone in my body, you have got the potential to be a great creative if you want to be. Now, I can go on about this forever. I'm literally going to give you a few sort of top line pointers to start you on your journey. And the first one is your environment. So if you do all your analytical, logical, strategic marketing work sat at your desk, your brain is trained to think that way when you're at your desk. If you're sort of thinking, oh, I don't know about that, think about it. Like, why did dieters have to stick notes on the fridge going, leave it alone? It's a behavioral conditioned thing. You come into the kitchen, you're thinking about food. You come to your desk where you do all your analytical, logical work. You start thinking in that way. Very, very hard to be creative if your brain is trained to do a different sort of work in a particular area. Move, get out, go somewhere else. The next one is that creativity is not a solo sport, it's a team sport. You will play better with others. The more you can get everyone else involved, the easier the ideas will flow. Make sure it's a safe space where it's okay for people to say stupid things and have really, really shit ideas, because shit ideas are often the ones that trigger something in either that person or someone else where they actually come up with pure gold. So don't squash people's ideas and creativity if you're going to do this. And definitely get other people involved. It aside from anything else, it's way more fun, but you also come up with better ideas. Then we need to practice. As I sort of explained a little while ago, like, all of these people that you look at and you go, oh God, they're so creative, they're so full of ideas. They weren't born that way. They got that way through practice, be that practice at art college or practice in their jobs or practice because, they write poetry on the side. They got that way through practice, and you will need to too. You don't look at virtuoso piano players and go, oh God, they must have just been, crawled out of the womb and started rattling out Beethoven. Nah. And then the last one is exposure to ideas. You've got to open your mind to what's possible. And that means stepping outside, looking at your own creative, at your competitors' creative, at this very small world that you're in that has a very limited number of ideas in it. Definitely look at other ads from other industries. It's a great place to learn, but go beyond ads as well. Get out, go to galleries, read, walk the streets, go to new places whenever you're flipping well allowed. Expose yourself to new things and new ideas will come. So, to round out my little riff on all things creative, I wanted to share some inspiration, some of the stuff that has really worked. A couple of examples from our own shop that we've sort of seen work, and a few of my favorites that I've seen from B2B world that made me really, really proud to be a B2B creative. So, if I said agri-tech to you, farming technology stuff, it's not going to set your world alight, I'm sure. But these guys, online livestock trading platform, could have been a really boring list of features and benefits. Instead, they decided to launch it with a campaign around a kind of a spoof app that they developed called Tudder, which was Tinder for cows. Completely unconventional for B2B, but it really worked and really got them cut through an engagement in a market that just, wanted to smile, really. Now, this is a campaign of ours that we did about 3 years ago. You might be wondering, why am I showing you work that's 3 years old? But this is all about the longevity piece, is that I still regularly meet with Microsoft channel partners who remember this ad from 3 years ago. And it's sort of one of the standout ones that they remember from their exposure to the Microsoft universe. So it just goes to show that, a simple creative idea. I mean, this is selling tech solutions, but doing it differently can really sort of stick in people's brains. This one I loved from Shopify. Again, could have been a simple list of features and benefits and how to build your website, but no, they took a really different approach, coming across, this idea that they can scale your business, but without all the kind of bullshit claims. And that business you thought of 3 months ago could be here. This as well is one of ours that we did for one of our clients in the pandemic, smaller business, just to show you that it can be done for smaller B2B. Again, we were able to flex as the restrictions flexed, depending on what was and wasn't available. And that was really well received in the market. And finally, this one from Lenovo called Users Happen, targeted at IT people, got them to, really, really different from the normal, here's a great laptop. It was all about the dumb things people do with their laptops, such as Chad, who used his to stop an elevator door. Re-engaged 90,000 leads, dead leads. So dead leads suddenly re-engaged in the relationship. What more do you want? Thank you so much for listening.